Fallout New Vegas is a good game. I know it's a very controversial opinion, but it's true. It's also one of my favorite games of all time. Very original, I know. And pretty surprising considering I first played it on the PS3, which apparently is the worst version of the game. I've been playing and modding the game ever since, but I've never actually made a mod myself, so I decided to try it out. I made a voiced follower, John Lee Pettymore III, and he came with their own quest. It turned out okay. My idea was to explore a ghoul who was slowly turning feral, but I didn't really express that as well as I hoped. I basically told instead of shown that he had ghoul Alzheimer's. Other than a few lines, he isn't really that affected by it. Maybe the excuse can be that it's really early in the process of becoming feral. Creating him in the G.E.C.K wasn't too hard, but man, I'm not a big fan of using the G.E.C.K to be honest. I don't think it's bad, but I don't really vibe with the workflow. Say you wanted to give an NPC a custom jacket. Your first thought would be to go to the armor and click make a new item, but no, you have to find the piece of armor and change the name, prompting the G.E.C.K to make a new copy. The reason that just making a new armor piece doesn't work is that you don't have access to icons or models or textures out of the box. If you want to mess with those, you need to use third-party software like Fallout Mod Manager to convert the files back and forth. Speaking of, the G.E.C.K pretty much requires a mod like a G.E.C.K extender to be fully functional, as a lot of features like being able to include all of the DLC content are turned off by default and can only be turned on by editing a configuration file. I don't know if this is true for the other creation kits, but this makes the New Vegas kit feel unfinished. The G.E.C.K also has a lot of settings and switches that aren't used at all, like this rumors button, and you don't even use the speech challenge checkbox to make speech challenges. Why is it like this? And also, I know this is a skill issue, but I hated working in the level editor. The scrolling is slow, the zooming is whack, and the prefabs will have different sizes, meaning you have to change the snapping settings all the dang time. Fuck! And don't forget to make a nav mesh, because if you forget to make a nav mesh, NPCs will just run into the wall and not be able to fucking navigate. And never touch the automatic nav mesh generation button. It is a filthy lie. Scripting is also interesting. NPCs get one script. So most of the NPC's code will be in that one file. For a small mod, that's fine, but for more complex mods or stories, this will make the code harder to read/maintain. Especially since you gotta type your code into a blank text box. You're basically coding in Notepad. There's not even any spell checking or anything, so be ever vigilant for typos. Also, if there is an error in the code, the editor doesn't save, which is nice, but you don't get a pop-up telling you what the error is. The only hint is this message box that opens when you start the G.E.C.K, and it usually hides behind other windows. The scripting language is called ObScript. Great name right there. And as Riku, the creator of the ever-popular Vor mod, puts it, it's a fucked up Python. Or a fucked up BASIC, but I'm not old enough to know what BASIC is, so I'm sticking with fucked up Python. And I mean, just look at it. It's like Bethesda couldn't decide if they wanted a whitespace language or a bracketed language. What is the point of and if? Tell me. Creating dialogue can be kind of jank. When you talk to an NPC, the dialogue is actually a quest. Yeah, all of the dialogue is just quests that aren't actually quests. I see the method in the madness, but think of all of the unclaimed XP because these quests aren't real quests, you bastards. Now, recording the voice acting was definitely the most tedious part for me, because you write the dialogue one line at a time, and one line of dialogue can, at max, only be 150 characters. Meaning if you want your character to, say, speak a paragraph, you'll have to make 5 separate lines of dialogue. Now I made the mistake of recording the lines like that, which made some of the dialogue sound unnatural. I should have recorded the lines as one big chunk and then rendered out the lines separately. I also needed another plugin to get the lip syncing to work because for some reason, those files don't come with the G.E.C.K. Why? One nice thing is that the G.E.C.K does have the ability to let you record the lines in the editor. But for some reason, every time I did that, my audio was super quiet, so I used Audacity instead. And then I had to re-render those lines because they were stereo, and the G.E.C.K doesn't like stereo. No, the G.E.C.K is a picky bitch that wants only mono, because fuck you. And that was my experience making a mod for New Vegas. I'd say give modding a shot if you're so inclined. It gives a pretty good insight to how engine and mods work, and honestly, I have a much better appreciation for the work that goes into mods. I don't know if I'll continue modding Bethesda games though. Like I said, I wasn't that big of a fan of the workflow. Plus the G.E.C.K is only available on Windows and I plan on switching to something else in the near future. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll leave a link to the mod in the description if you want to check it out. Next video is on the video game Dark. Peace.